Hi guys, and welcome back to Autism Journeys radio show. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome the amazing Caoimhe. She's an 18-year-old autistic female who is exceptionally passionate about raising autism awareness and flipping that narrative to one of strengths. So Caoimhe, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm actually really excited to have a conversation with you today. I've been watching you, following you on Instagram and so on, and
Yeah.
like you are so, what you have to contribute is so fantastic. So I can't wait for people to hear what you're actually going to share today.
Okay.
So we have about maybe 12 or 13 questions to get through. So I'm going to get right started if that's okay.
Okay. Yep.
Perfect. So, Caoimhe, your first question is, when did you first learn that you are autistic, and were you or your family expecting that news?
I first learned I was autistic when I was 14. I was tested when I was 10 and they said I didn't have it. But when I turned 14, I was retested and I was told I did have it. My family, I guess they expected it. I didn't want it to be true at the time. I kind of felt like what most people think my age stereotypes, and I didn't really know what autism was. But when I understood it more, I've embraced having it, and yeah, I was kind of expected in my house.
Fantastic. And I suppose it's interesting, Caoimhe, that you say that you were initially, you went for an assessment at like 10
Mm-hmm.
and people didn't see that. But
Yeah.
then at 14, people picked up on it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
interesting. And that seems to be the experience for lots of autistic young females.
Yeah.
Caoimhe, usually when we think about stimming,
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes what comes to mind is the image of a young person flapping, or
Yeah.
moving their hands, or those kind of
Mm-hmm.
very stereotypical types
Yeah.
of behaviors that we know to be true for some people at least. I
Yeah.
suppose it's really important though that we recognize that there's lots of other kinds of stims. Do you
Yeah.
recognize any stimming behaviors in yourself, and what are they, and what kind of support do they provide you with?
Yep, so I would watch the same TV show over and over again. It's actually Dance Moms that aired in America.
Abby
And
Lee Miller,
I
yay!
have watched it since I was weaning, and I still watch to this day. I just watch the same episodes over and over again, clips of it. I just find it calms me down, it settles me, makes me happy watching it. I enjoy watching it. And if I was upset or overwhelmed, I would go and put that on and just sit and watch Abby Lee Miller shout at them and watch all the dancing. I just love it a lot.
Fantastic. So it provides you with that lovely kind of opportunity to regulate yourself.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I tell you, I have to tell you, Caoimhe, that myself and my daughter many moons ago went to meet the cast and crew of Dance Moms
Yeah.
here, and my daughter actually has a huge amount of signed paraphernalia from Chloe, was her
Oh
favorite
yeah.
person. So
Yeah,
she
she's
has
my
all of these.
favorite.
Yeah, so it's funny actually that Dance Moms thing was a huge part of our family
Mm-hmm.
for a very long time as
Yeah.
well. But I suppose it's important, actually, the message in that is that it's really like, I suppose it's making sure really that people have the opportunity to watch what they like to watch
Yeah.
as many times as they want to, if it's
Mm-hmm.
providing them with opportunity to calm. And I suppose more importantly, you said that it actually makes you feel really happy.
Yeah.
It's important that people acknowledge that there's a kind of a joy to engaging with that kind of
Mm-hmm.
repetitive piece as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. um can I ask you, Caoimhe, what
Mm-hmm.
kinds of things do you find helpful to do when you're feeling anxious?
So when I'm feeling anxious, I normally talk to my family. So my mum or dad. I have a 17-year-old sister, so sometimes I speak to her just gossiping and just that kind of thing. And then if I was anxious as well, I would always cuddle up with a blanket, put my jammies on, watch Dance Moms or YouTube or Netflix and just try and chill out and calm myself down.
Okay. And can I ask you, as an aside,
Mm-hmm.
what about if you were in school? Is there anything
And
that you would do in school?
in school I have a full-time classroom assistant, so she's with me all the time, so I have her, and then my head of year, I would spend a lot of time with her. I'd always like go speak to them if I was worried or upset or anxious, and then sometimes I bring sensory toys into school with me, so I can use them when I'm anxious. And then in my school anyway, we have a sensory room where it's full of like sensory things and like really comfy sofas and seats, so we would go in there sometimes too.
Okay. And what kind of sensory tools or toys do you actually bring with you? What kind of things help
um
support you?
just like squishy stress balls and things like that,
Okay,
or like
okay.
things where we sequence.
Okay, perfect. And as another aside, I suppose,
Mhm.
with regards to school, the
Mhm.
school setting, we'd say, what kinds, like, does it help you to use things like visual schedules to know what's going to be coming down the track so that you don't
Yeah.
have to worry about what potentially might be happening later?
Yeah, so I have a diary where like every week at the start of the week I'll fill out everything I have to do if I have appointments or if there's something coming up in school that week, like an exam. So I have it down so nothing like is sprung on me, and because if it does, that would make me really anxious and normally send me into a meltdown if it's just
Okay.
sprung on me straight away.
Okay, no, that's fantastic because I suppose sometimes, as people get older, sometimes there's an idea almost that we don't have to provide that same level of
Yeah.
predictability. But
Hmm.
what you're saying is that actually that you still benefit from knowing
Yeah.
what to expect.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Can I ask you, Kiva, do you feel like you mask or hide your autistic traits? Um,
I do to an extent. I don't at home and I don't at school. I used to at school, but I moved secondary schools and I'm currently completing my A levels before you go to uni. So um I wouldn't hide it at school anymore. I would have a lot around my teachers, but not now. But I would hide it around people my age, which is a bit contradicting of like school and people my age. But I don't have friends in school, so it's more like if I was in a shop and I seen people my age, I just kind of try and act normal, like whatever normal is, and yeah, just around people my age, like in shops, that sort of thing.
okay. I suppose when we think about adults versus kind of that peer group, adults have
Mhm.
like I suppose adults come at things from a more kind or understanding space. Do you know, like in my experience at least, that you'd oftentimes find somebody who's autistic will get on better with somebody that's older than them
Yeah.
or younger than them, and it's actually that peer group piece that is
Hmm.
particularly difficult.
Yeah.
Um, can I ask you, I suppose, when you said about you going about an assessment when you were 10 and
Hmm.
not being diagnosed, and
Yeah.
then going about it at 14 and then being identified as autistic at that age,
Hmm.
do you think that you were potentially masking your autism, we'd
Um,
say for that first assessment at least?
it's hard to know because when I was younger, to me, I acted more autistic. Like I showed it a lot more than I do than I did when I was 14. Like in school and all, I was always the one that wore their own clothes and like kind of was just class clown. I didn't have friends, so I did anything anybody told me to do. Um, like if I could never touch paper. I used to have this thing with touching paper, so all my work was like done on other card or like whiteboards and stuff. So I was always like the different child in the class. um so then when they said I didn't have it then, and then when I was 14, I thought I masked it a lot more when I was like around that age, because it was like this big secret. Like when I was diagnosed, like I am really close to my granny and my auntie, and I didn't even want to tell them. I didn't want nobody to know. It was like this big secret, but at the end of the day, like I did tell, and I'm glad I told, and now I'm
Yeah.
have a blog on it.
Fab. I suppose I'm very glad that you told too, because I see the positive impact that you sharing about autism and about your journey is having upon the young people engaging with your page
Yeah.
and stuff. So it's like, it's really, really good that young people have you as a role model to
Mhm.
be able to kind of look up to and go, Actually, do you know what? This worked out well for Kiva, so
Yeah.
maybe it's going to work out well for me too.
Mhm.
Do you know? Do you know? So,
Yeah.
can I ask you, Kiva, what
Mhm.
sorts of things help to make social interactions easier for you?
So people my age having an understanding of autism and how it impacts on the individual. It makes it a lot easier, so you don't have to try and like explain yourself in front, and say this is maybe why I do this, or you know that type of thing. And then like also if they like start a conversation up, because if somebody didn't start a conversation with me, like if they're my age, I probably wouldn't start one. I don't. I would kind of just sit in the class and keep myself to myself. But if they start one with me, I would talk back. So I think that's really important.
Okay, so somebody else making that effort
Yeah.
to kind of engage with you. And I suppose, Kiva, you did, I know that you submitted a video for the Strengths and Supports
Hmm.
campaign that we're running this month. And actually, one of the things that you said that I thought was very, very good to hear was that one of your strengths is that you actually, that you're able to understand other autistic communication very,
Yeah.
very well.
Hmm.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so in my school we have an autism centre. I would help out in it with all the younger children with who are autistic. And it's just like kind of being able to pick up on signs, they're not doing okay in the classroom. I'd also have a lot of cousins who are autistic. One that just reminds me of me when I was little. And I can just kind of pick up straight away, when she's getting overwhelmed and what's wrong and things like that. So just
Fantastic.
helps to like, because I have experienced it and I can then go on and help them with it.
That's absolutely fantastic. Absolutely. So, Kiva, can you tell me about your special interests?
Okay, so one of my main special interests is blogging and raising autism awareness and acceptance among other people. And then through that, I've been able to make friends and socialize online. Another one of my main interests, and I've had it for years before I was diagnosed with autism, was like I love everything about Paris. I want to go so bad. I love the Eiffel Tower. Just can't wait to go. Like that's just one thing that's like my big dream is going there someday. And my other interest would be playing The Sims 4 on the laptop. I like creating houses and like creating houses, making the families, because you can just do so many different things with it.
Cool. Cool. I note when you're talking that your whole face becomes really, really animated. Is it a real sense of joy? Are these interests a real sense of joy and calm and
Yeah.
just loveliness? Would that be fair to
Hmm.
say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you been able to use your special interest to make connections, particularly now, given that you've got an online presence? Have you been able to make connections with other people who have similar interests?
Yeah, so just like through the blogging really, I would like a lot of the time I've made friends with like people who run sensory toy companies, and they're around my age, they're like 18, 20, and it's just like through the blogging is where I make my most friends, because there's an interest there too of we want to raise awareness and give like acceptance to autistic people, and that's like one of my main interests.
Fantastic, fantastic. And Kiva, with regards to the benefits then of special interest, so obviously we're talking about that friendship piece. Is there any other benefits, in your opinion, to empowering a young person with access to their special interests?
So yeah, so like due to blogging, I have friends to then go talk to, and they'd like say, "Hey, how are you?" I'd be able to talk to them. You're able to talk about things that you might not necessarily be able to talk about somebody else with your age who doesn't have autism, because the ones who are autistic understand it a bit better. They understand where you're coming from, and you're able to understand them. So that would be like one of the main benefits of my blog, of my special interest. And then The Sims 4 like help me distract myself when I'm feeling overwhelmed, because it's just there's so much to do in it. And then Paris, just it helps me feel grounded because I just imagine myself in Paris and
Yeah.
at the Eiffel Tower and shopping and all that stuff. So yeah.
Fantastic. I hope this pandemic blooming well stops soon so that we all get to engage with those lovely trips away and,
Yeah,
uh, definitely. So I suppose to come back to it though, the reality is that your special interests are a huge part of your kind of support system or minding
yeah.
yourself and kind of supporting, I would assume, your mental well-being and
Hmm.
like your physical well-being and your well-being overall. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. Can I ask you, Kiva, what kinds of
Hmm.
things do you find sensorily overwhelming first, just to paint that
Um,
picture?
so in the past, when I was younger, I would have found sounds difficult. So bottles of juice moving or snow. I didn't like the sound of snow, but I've kind of over the years got over that. But since I was younger till now, I've always had a struggle with clothes and the touch. So throughout the years that has changed. It used to be that I could only ever wear leggings. Um, then as I got a bit older, it used to be my hair. It had to be sitting perfect. Like it was really, really bad. Like, it wasn't just me being vain or anything. It had to be a specific way because I didn't like the feel of it. Um, Now at the minute it's more like school uniform and tights. I really struggle with tights. I have for about 4 years now, so it's been going on quite a while and it is still a big struggle. So that would be one of the main ones.
Okay, okay. And I suppose then based upon that, actually when you're speaking, I can relate that to two family members here where I'm going, yeah, perfect hair. And it's not out of vanity. It's
Yeah,
because if there's one hair going the wrong direction, it
yeah,
feels so uncomfortable.
yeah.
Or that kind of clothes piece. There's
Hmm.
not a stitch of clothing in this house that has tags on it, for example. Do you know?
Yeah.
But I suppose we'd say based upon that then, what kind of things have helped you with regards to that kind of sensory overwhelm that you'd feel?
So what's helped me is I would normally when that's happening, so if it's the clothes, um it normally would happen in the morning getting ready for school
Yeah.
because that's when you get ready for school. But anyway, so when that happens, I've learned to take like time out to myself. So I would get up earlier than I probably need to get up, but it's there in case I need that time. So during that time I would like maybe if I have some of my uniform on or part of it or none of it and I'm just still in my jammies, I would like sit up in my bed, put a blanket over me, my favorite one, and then I would like listen to music or watch YouTube or just do something to calm myself down. Or I would have a box of sensory toys that I'd take over to my bed and I just sit and play with them till I feel like I've calmed down a bit and I can go and try the uniform again. And if it doesn't work, back to square one and just keep doing that till
Okay.
I eventually get it on.
Okay. And do you think, Kiva, actually, as an aside, I suppose, um, part of what I would oftentimes talk about is accommodating the young person. So making
Hmm.
sure that, like that, okay, if a kiddo doesn't want to wear a uniform, if they can't wear a uniform,
Hmm.
that actually let's figure something else out. Like
Yeah.
if they like instead of wearing a school uniform, maybe we can access a really soft school tracksuit, for example,
Hmm.
or whatever. Do you know? I've
Yeah.
got a young person in this house who hasn't worn socks for nearly 5 years. Hasn't worn
Yeah. I'm
socks at
very
all.
like that with
Hasn't
socks.
like they literally they alternate between Uggs in the wintertime and
Hmm.
Crocs in the summertime, and that's it.
Yeah.
And like you can't get black leather Uggs for the most part, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's been around the school needing to be flexible in
Yeah.
their approach in order to suit this young person and
My
their sensory needs.
my school's been very supportive in that sense. Like they would tell me just to come in my own clothes and I can anything like if I want to come in with some of my uniform on or a different pair of bottoms on or if I just want to come completely in my own clothes, I'm allowed to do that. But it's just me. I prefer to wear my uniform in
Okay.
so it'll
Okay.
stand out. But I know that option is there. And I do have exams coming up very, very soon. So I know when I'm stressed, that's when my sensory stuff kind of like plays up more.
Yeah.
So I know I have that option there if worst comes to worst. It's my own clothes in to go sit my exam.
Fantastic. And I suppose that's a good point. Is that it's the it's really important to give the person the opportunity to accommodate the needs of the young person,
Mm-hmm.
but in saying that, still allow the young person the choice around
Yeah.
what works or what doesn't work. I suppose the other thing that we've done in this house over the years is that we'd say grey school trousers would be one of the, like, that's the school trousers for the most part
Yeah.
in the schools that my kiddos would have attended. And we organised grey tracksuit pantses. So they were still the
Yeah.
same colour and stuff. So they still, at a distance at least, the young person still
Yeah.
looked like they had the same kind of uniform on. It was only
Mm-hmm.
up close that you, like, that you'd know that there was a difference.
Yeah.
It's those kind. It's being clever about
Mm-hmm.
the how to kind of accommodate needs. But I suppose ultimately, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kiva, I suppose ultimately you'd be making the point that it's really important that people are accommodated, and that schools, that workplaces, that preschools, that wherever, that people
Yeah.
think outside of the box and consider the person first. And like
Yeah.
uniforms and all that, they all come second. It's the person
Mm-hmm.
first. That
Yeah.
be fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Kiva, can I ask you, what are the best parts about being autistic for you?
The best parts of being autistic is that obviously I'm able to understand other autistic people to maybe like not fully because I don't know exactly like every autistic individual is different, but I can to an extent understand what they're going through. And I think and because of that, I have a care nature towards my cousins, my youngest sister, and I do want to go into a career in the future that will help autistic people. Like I want to do teaching, psycho teaching, or something along those lines.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, Brie, you want to bring your own experience
Yeah,
up and kind of let people like support based upon your own experiences,
yeah,
which is absolutely amazing. That would be, and I've no doubt that you're going to get there. I know now exams coming up and all that, but I reckon that somebody as passionate as yourself is going to absolutely reach that point where they're going to be able to do whatever they need to and that they want
yeah.
to. Kiva, can I ask you, where can people find out more about you?
So they can find out more about me on Facebook. My page is called Autistic Teen, or on Instagram it's autistic_teen_, and that's where I would blog. Um, I do a weekly blog, so I'll put up a post whatever I decide to do the topic on. But throughout the week on my Instagram, I do maybe like stories where you can ask questions, and more Instagram I find more interactive. So, I get people messaging me, asking me questions. I'd answer them back as best as I can. But yeah, that's where you can find me on. I'm morely on Instagram.
Fantastic. And what I'll do actually is on the blurb underneath this recording on YouTube and on SoundCloud and all that, I'll actually put all of your contact information there as well, so people
Yeah.
will know where to find you and how to find you and so on. And I suppose, Kiva, you'd be glad to know, last question, what's the most important piece of advice you could give to another kid or another teenager who is kind of walking their own autism journey?
Just that it's okay to be different, because if everybody was the same, the world would be very boring. Autistic people have shown that they can do amazing things. Some the best people in the world are autistic, so it's good to be different, and that no matter how tough things seem, or if you're going through something difficult like to do with your autism, like if it's sensory issues or just anything in general, you will get through it and you'll be able to say, I did that, I was able to do that. Like to other people that might seem so minor and so small, but it's a huge step for an autistic person, and you will get there in the end.
Kiva, what wise, wise words. Thank you so, so much for chatting with me today.
You're welcome.